Hello YouTube, this is Dakoda from Bowtied Media, joined again by Landon Fleury of Color Coded Management, formerly Landon Remixes, and we are here to take your hot takes. Okay, this would be a good one for you, I think, as an artist manager and someone that's more in the business side of things. I think EDM artists should be more open to leaking their own unreleased music, at least in the form of download links.
I kind of agree with this. I think generally I'm like pro accessibility when it comes to music.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like the idea of artists hoarding years and years of music that fans want just to like leave it open for like live exclusives. I get it to an extent. Like if you're Porter Robinson and you want to hold on to your World's Live edits until it's time to do like a 10-year anniversary reissue where people can finally access it. But generally I don't believe in holding on to things forever. And one thing that feels like it's come up that has kind of been an answer to that is like more of the mixtape format.
Yes.
Dance music artists have kind of adopted that more recently. Feels like Space Laces kind of did it first.
Yes.
And then Rez did it with Nightmare on Rez Street.
Yep.
And then, last year, some artists like Dubloads and Thirst experimented with the mixtape format.
Yep.
And now Skrillex has very famously kind of done that this year with FUS. So I think this is something that artists should consider more. Obviously, if you're an artist who's got like 100 followers and people don't really know your unreleased music or like care, then it doesn't really matter. You don't have to put all of your stuff out there. But I feel like it is a really underrated format that might get utilized more and more in the coming years is, people taking these, batches of 10 to 20 songs and then being like, I don't really have the energy or desire to finish these, but I can kind of mix them into like this audio visual mixtape where people can still access what's there and what they appreciate about the songs based on the live shows or whatever. And just take that and, put it into a package that people can enjoy and run through. I think is really important. Other than that, I'm not as into just like sharing download links. I've seen some artists do that. I keep up with Higo a lot. He's one of my favorite artists at the moment. And something that he does is he'll like leak some of his like Dropbox links in this little like Instagram like fan chat. So he'll occasionally just like drop a remix in there that, hasn't been released or isn't planned to be released.
Sick.
It's a good way to keep fans engaged.
Yeah, totally.
And then I've seen people like, I think Axwell a long time ago dropped the like alternate version of It Gets Better by Swedish House Mafia, because a lot of people were complaining about like what happened to the previous version. I don't like this weird new cowbell version that you guys put out officially. And then he's just like, all right, here you go. Like, I think that's something that has value to it. If it's something that fans really want and like are going to play out and enjoy, I don't think it's really any harm, especially if it's so different from the final product, to just kind of give that away.
I would say I agree with like this for the most part in your sentiment, but not on a personal level. On a personal level, I actually really don't care about unreleased stuff a ton. And maybe that's just because I feel the need or pull to cover so much music that if I'm trying to cover stuff that's unreleased and IDs and secret download links, I will never be able to do it all. So even personally, like I'm not really on SoundCloud much because, and I wish I could be more honestly, but again, it's just so much to look at. And so I like to look at the stuff that is officially released.
I know what you mean. It's a lot to keep up with. I remember when we were putting together this list the other day, you mentioned the Tristan thing.
So
dig in on that.
I'm someone that like immediately when I hear something like a snippet, I'm like, oh, I love this. And I want to like constantly replay it. And so there was a version of She's Just Like Me, which ended up being Children in the Dark by Tristan, that he had put some download link. He had put it over like some Vimeo video of like these girls dancing. And I was like in love with this version. I was like, this is my new favorite Tristan song. This is fantastic. Comes release day, totally different song. Like other than the lyrics, it is like a completely different style of song. And I was like, I like this version, but I was so attached to the other thing. And so I constantly try to like not have myself listen to IDs or secret download links and stuff, just because I know it'll change so much.
Yeah, I think an important thing is if you're an artist, and you shouldn't be dropping download links like this unless you're positive that it's not going to be re-released in a different capacity.
Yeah.
Because then people will get attached to a certain version. Then it's like, well, now I'm not going to listen to this on Spotify or whatever because it's completely different than the version that I really liked.
Yeah.
On that same topic, you know, Voltage from the new Skrillex album. That was a track that I had been familiar with years prior, and it's like now I'm not as much of a fan as this like half you know, length version that's got like only the second half of the drop. And you know, that could have just been a result of what was available, because I know he like lost his laptop or whatever, but you have to understand that fans are going to be attached to certain versions, and it's going to be harder to it's fine to drop music in some kind of format that you don't plan on releasing in the future, but if there's any chance that you're going to revisit it, you know, take it for scraps, rework it into something else, maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
Musical composition, that is chords, chord progression, and melody, is infinitely more important than production. That is sound design and mixing/mastering. As long as the music is electronic, all other production elements are relatively insignificant to me, with exceptions.
Yeah, this is just another Greg one here that I just feel is a little too blanket statement. And to me, I would actually probably put it more on the other side of things. Like, I get that the musicality of composition stuff is important, but to me, I think I lean more towards production being more important. I think I'm more attuned to sound design and mixing and mastering as a more key element to an EDM track than specifically I think other genres, because dance music, EDM, is formulaic to some extent. That's sort of the purpose of it, is to dance and to be easily recognizable, to have easily recognizable beats and melodies and rhythms. And so the musical composition to me isn't as important specifically in the EDM space than the production side of things. When it comes to other genres like pop, I think, or like an art pop or indie or rock, I think that is more so leaning more towards the importance of the musical composition than it is the production side. Even so much so to like, I don't know why this is the example that came into my head of the Scaring the Hose album of JPEG and Danny Brown, of the production on that thing is so wild, out of left field, so like intentionally messy, but the musical composition of it all is actually quite brilliant when you dive into the nuances of everything. So I guess that's my take on it. I don't know about you. Yeah,
so I mean, maybe this is obvious from the kind of artists that I manage. If you didn't watch the interview as well, I work with Asora, Chime, Skybreak, and Everin Maxwell. The musicality aspect is really, really important to me. I'd say having that foundational kind of musical element it kind of trumps everything else, in my opinion.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that production should be ignored, that you shouldn't care about mixing or anything like that, but I think having that foundation is a lot more important. You can get really good at mixing something, and then, you know, you might never make a song that people actually, that actually sticks with people and that they want to revisit if you don't put kind of the musicality first. So yeah, I think being able to write really strong melodies, knowing what chord progressions work and resonate with people is really important. And I think you can always get better at, and I guess you could say the same thing about musicality. You can always get better, but I think if you have that foundation in place, the difference between like a 75% there and a 100% there mix isn't as big as if you just, you know, have no knowledge or interest in music theory, I guess.
That's fair. That was well spoken. So much so that I'm like, oh, I think I might be wrong actually off the bat there. But again, obviously, this is more of a blanket statement, and it's meant to be for the hot takes. But there's obviously an ebb and flow of both, and there's an importance to both.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a balance of both things kind of simultaneously. But if I had to pick one element that I think is something you should focus primarily on, I think songwriting.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, maybe you've convinced me. Xilent's We Are Dust is a very overrated album. There are some hits like Human Error and Darkness, but I found the rest of the album decent at best.
So I feel like what this comes from the perspective, first of all, I disagree. I feel like this also comes from the perspective of like an album is the sum of its parts, kind of like an album is as good as the amount of really good songs that kind of make up the track list. And I think something that makes We Are Dust such an incredible album is that it's a lot of like pretty good songs, and the way that they come together is in a way that's greater than the sum of its parts. I think that's what makes it a really special album. It does storytelling and production, and just the way it all flows together is so like unique for a dubstep album. And there's really so little on that album that isn't dubstep.
Yeah.
It's amazing that when I listen to it, at least, I don't know if anyone else has this experience, but when I listen to it, it's amazing that I don't get tired of hearing dubstep on it. And all the tracks just kind of have their own identity. Everything works together in a way that I feel like is really amazing and truly accomplished for that type of thing.
Yeah. This was an interesting one for me because this era, when this was released, this was probably my lowest point in where I'd ever like really been adamantly following Monster Cat in my late years of university. And at first, I remember looking back at my scores on the album, and I'd done like a once or twice through, and I was like, like I probably would have said something similar to this. But then when I started doing the Bowtied stuff and things, and I saw that everyone really loved this album, I was like, whoa, okay, wait, was I like missing something? And I was like, yeah, 100%, I was missing something. So I went back and I was like, trying to critically reason, okay, why are people saying this thing is so good? And then really, really thinking about the record as a whole and be like, yes, no, I agree, this is a fantastic record. I just maybe didn't understand its depth at the time.
Yeah, definitely. This next one says, we need more fusion genres in the scene. It's exciting to see artists pushing the boundaries of existing sounds, but I think there's even more potential in branching out, blending different corners of EDM to create entirely new microgenres. The more niche and experimental these fusions get, the more room there is for fresh, unpredictable ideas.
Yeah, I think like generally agreed upon, I think, on this sense, but I also just, maybe it's a totally different question that I'm answering here, but I also just, I don't love just categorizing stuff as genres, even so much so. Like, I think there's a lot of artists out there that don't really fit into genres that I think we like to create new sound, like new stylized names for certain micro genres and stuff that I'm just personally like, whatever. I talk about genres a lot because I think it's a great and easy way to like just talk about the general feeling of a track, and obviously there's certain like tempos and styles and stuff that fall into genres for the most part. But I mean, like, yes, I think we do need some more fusion of stuff. I am a little surprised how little fusion there does seem to be sometimes, especially in the bigger, more commercial spaces. And I get that in the commercial spaces, they're meant to be a little bit more commercial friendly, a little bit more vanilla, a little bit more played safe, so that they can hit big streaming numbers and stuff. But I am surprised that in the bigger EDM spaces that we're not doing big fusions, because I feel like the only fusion they do is like nostalgia fusion, quote unquote, where it's like, oh, this is a new house tune with an 80s hook, and this is a new house tune with a 2000s hook. And so it's just like, okay, we can
come check out my melodic techno song that has a hook re-recorded from a popular 70s song.
Yeah. So I think small artists do a pretty good job of doing the fusion. I think the bigger artists need to do better.
Yeah, I would agree. And then if I could just add a little bit on top of that, I would say, first of all, I agree with the take. But I would also say that a lot of what can make an artist seem special comes down to like which genres they're combining. Like if it's easy for somebody to describe like, oh, this trap artist is really unique because they use a lot of like metal guitars in their music or something, and that makes them stand out from other like trap type artists. Or for example, I co-manage an artist who goes by Sonata, and I would describe his music as like color bass meets math rock, or like, you know, dubstep meets polyphia. kind of thing. Like you're taking two different things that people can latch onto and kind of see how they fit together. So I think it's not only like a thing that we need more of, but it's a thing that can easily kind of set you apart as an artist. And help people kind of latch onto the identity you're trying to push forward. I just, I would encourage more up and coming artists to play around with elements of other genres that they like outside of dance music, because if you let your entire influence just be other songs in the same genre that you're producing, then you're never going to get anywhere interesting. You have to be a little bit risky, and even if it maybe sounds a little bit weird to start, if you keep kind of pushing at it and find a way to make the genres link together, I think you're going to find more of an audience who will connect with your music and appreciate what you're doing.
Do you have a hot take you'd love to land on?
Yes, and that's funny you made a pun with my name there, but there's actually, I meant to do this at the very beginning of the video, but there's a hot take, and I want to say this specifically because I know there's a lot of people who this take is relevant to you, who subscribe to you.
Okay.
First off, I'm not a man free of sin. From time to time, I watch a ranking video.
Oh, okay.
I watch ranking videos decently often, especially if it's for an artist that I manage. I watched a few ranking videos for the Skybreak album. And this take actually has two parts, so bear with me. The first part of the take, and it feels so insane to me. Sometimes I'll watch these ranking videos, and the way that they'll have their like ratings when they do each track will be way too like granular.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking like, it'll be like, number 3 on the album. It's Red Hot Skull by Skybreak. And I rate this song 8.76 or something like that. There's no need for your rating to be that granular. There's 0.0 and 0.5, and you don't need anything else.
Agreed.
Even 0.5 might be a little too much. I'm biased because my rating system was like that.
Those have 0.5s?
I feel like it's warranted when you see somebody like Fantano and he's like strong 8 to light 9 or something. That makes it warrant a half point.
Yeah, I do love his formula in that sense.
Yes, but I feel like so many people, and obviously rating systems are completely arbitrary no matter what, but I feel like people just get way too granular and it doesn't make sense to me. So did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think, yes, 0.5, my personal rule is 0.5 is okay for like songs. And to me, when it comes to albums and EPs, I'm a hard whole number. I'm a hard whole number.
I think that makes sense.
I understand why people put like 0.75 and all this kind of like 0.25 and 0.1 kind of stuff, because I think in their head they go, oh, this is like, they know, and someone that's reviewed a lot, I'm sure you have this too, we're like, oh, this is like a 7, but you're like, oh, this song is like a better 7 than like another 7, but they can both be 7, and one can just be a better 7. But I think sometimes people feel the need to be like, oh, I need to categorize this exactly, and I can go back, and if I just sort by score, I can see exactly my listing of the whole thing. So I get that, but also absolutely unnecessary, completely unnecessary.
And I'm less talking about like the 0.25 and the 0.75 and more like the precise like hundreds.
I still think that for
0.96 or like 0.04 or, things like that, where it's like, how in your mind are you compartmentalizing that specifically? I can kind of see it if like, you're ranking, let's say 100 things from top to bottom, and then it's like, oh, well, this is a better 7.5 than this is a better 7.5. So I have to rate it a little bit above that. But like you said, you can just kind of take it and it's like, yes, this is a better 7.5, probably more based on mood than anything. Like if I rank 100 different things, my ranking of that is probably going to be different like the next week, what I'm going to enjoy more or less. The second part of this take that I want to say is ranking channels, stop ranking intros and interludes at the very bottom. I did notice this a bit with the Skybreak album, that people were ranking
always number 11
at the bottom. And it wasn't always the case. I'll give people credit. I think people are liking Vagabond more than Chrysalis, which is interesting to me. But I see it a lot, and I remember, when Hideout Ranks was a thing and Red Hawk Director. I don't know if you remember Hoxie.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of those types of people.
Yep, DC
It felt like they were almost always ranking intros and interludes at the very bottom, almost because it's like, it's this thought of like...
it's not a song?
Yeah, it's almost like I'm never going to listen to this and it's by itself, so it has to be at the bottom.
Yeah.
But I feel like you need to be looking at it based on like how it plays into the wider picture. And the way that I tried to kind of fix that when I did my reviews, and I'd put like my favorite and least favorite tracks, is I'd just group it next to the track that it's attached to.
Yeah.
Like if you've got like Isometric and You're On from Maddion's Adventure album, it's just one song. So when you rank it, just rank it based on how they work together.
Yeah.
And put like Isometric / You're On.
Yeah,
and then you solve that.
That's fair.
It feels more fair to what the song is trying to do to combine it than to just say it's like the worst song on the album.
I'm sure I did that to some extent when I was ranking too in the early days of Bowtied, but nowadays when I like score albums and in the back end when I go through and stuff, I don't even score like interludes and intros and stuff. I keep them separate, and I just like, okay, it's adding to the overall tone and style and feel of the album, but I don't need to score it individually.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of my modern. If I were to do ranking videos again, I would just probably not include them.
Yeah, just exclude.
Yeah,
don't make people think that intros and interludes are useless, because I feel like that's kind of what you're doing when you put it all the way in the back. And sometimes to be fair, they'll qualify and just be like, it's last because it's an interlude. Where else am I supposed to put it? But I try to recommend to change the framing a little bit so that people, when they listen through an album, aren't like, oh, I just need to skip this because it's an interlude that I've heard before or whatever. Let what it does in the context of the full album inform your opinion and how people are going to perceive it, I guess. So that's the take that I had for you. I don't know if you had a special one for me.
No, I didn't. Okay. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head, but that was great. I love that we ended on something like that.
I didn't spoil that one for him in advance. I was like, I've got a hot take that feels relevant to his audience, and I'm going to wait until we're actually filming to share it. So I'm glad you reminded me.
Well, I guess with that is the real end of this. So thanks for joining. This is again a huge blast. You're heading home right after this, so it's been
pretty much
great weekend hanging out with you, talking all EDM stuff and filming some videos.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's nice that we finally got to do some like proper content together. After just popping in for the quick grid challenge before at that Monster Cat compound. But thanks everyone for watching. If you remember Landon remixes, leave me an F in the comment section, and you can always reach me on pretty much all socials at Landon Fleury, and it's E before U. So there you go.
Fantastic.
All right, bye.